What's up, guys? Welcome back to FishOfHex. In today's video, I'm going to give you guys kind of a vlog, I guess you want to call it that, update on all the systems here in the fish room. So I'm going to edit it a little bit basically between different tanks, but other than that, it's going to be kind of, you get what you get. So what we're going to look at first here is the 30 gallon, and based on the light that I have coming in the room, it's going to change color a little bit. But other than that, let's go and take a look at this system. So it's been about, I would say, 3 weeks since I've been off the Triton method and back on 2-part. And right now I can tell you that the system is doing better than it has ever. It did go a little pale when it came to the acropora for about 3 to 5 days, and then the color started coming back, as well as the polyp extension. So the tank is doing very well. It does look blank and kind of bare just because there's no movement, for the exception of this one gorgonian, and then the eel, when I feed him, he comes out in that night. But other than that, it seems kind of bare. But yeah. My plans for this system is I'm going to go ahead and add a couple clownfish. I'm probably going to go with the maroon clown species just because they seem to be the jerks of the clown species. And basically, I'm going to put them in there after they go through quarantine, of course, and see how they do with the eel. They are relatively cheap, so I hope he doesn't eat them. But I do have to put some kind of movement in this tank because it's mostly SPS, and it just kind of, I'll be honest with you, it looks kind of stupid with just a gorgonian moving in the background there and occasionally seeing the eel. And then I have an emerald crab somewhere that just moves around and is kind of the jerk of the tank as well. But other than that, the system's doing pretty good. The only complaint that I have is with my skimmer. Hopefully you guys can see that here. That is that mini skimmer there. The problem that I have with it is it needs to be cleaned, or the air inlet needs to be cleaned every, I would say, 3 weeks or so, because it just completely clogs up and doesn't work. So, yeah, other than that, everything is doing well. My Chaeto reactor is growing without any issues, for the exception that I had one of the white lights stop working. I got it wet during a water change, and it just doesn't work very well. But other than that, doing pretty good. I'm happy with it, and I'll give you guys a full in-depth update on this tank probably within the next month or so, once we really get through the transition from Triton back to 2-part. So let's go and move over to the 300 gallon. All right, so we're here at the 300 gallon. I just fed the fish, so they're happy now, moving around, having a great time, and making the water look dirty. But other than that, everything is doing pretty good. I really like how this system has turned out. I made the adjustments per Triton for the dosing with the potassium, the iodine, the strontium, all that kind of stuff. I made the adjustments, as well as increased my Reef Plus dosing amount. And the tank, the polyp extension is definitely coming back, or at least it's better than it was. And the coloration is slowly coming back. I just made the adjustment a week ago, so I can't expect miracles overnight. But everything is doing quite well. The only coral that I have an issue with here is my goniopora that did very well in the 125, and that was because it took me about 4 months to figure out where he would be happy at in that tank. They're very particular on flow, and unfortunately in this tank there is 22,000 gallons worth of filtration during the surge mode process here, and that happens 3 or 4 times during the day to keep the tank clean, and I'll talk about that more in depth in a later video where I talk about filtration, all that kind of stuff with this system. And basically, it's just too much flow, so I'll probably end up pulling out that goniopora and putting it in another system. I'll probably put it in the 30 gallon since it's pretty chill in there, and hopefully he'll pull through and come back out. But yeah, the tank is doing great. I'm sitting at about 8.5 DKH with a calcium reactor. Again, yeah, you guys are going to see that video soon as well. And it's doing awesome. I really haven't done any water changes. Everything seems to be growing well, and I can't wait to get more coral and fish in here. Now we'll move over to the quarantine system here in a little bit, and you guys will see the fish that I'll be adding to this tank hopefully in the next couple months, as well as we'll talk about the coral and invert quarantine system for this, specifically for this system, that you guys will see here in a second. So other than that, the tank is doing well. My filter's on, so you guys can't really see the sump, but I will go ahead and put up a video now, kind of overlaying this one so you guys can see what the sump looks like. But other than that, let's go to move over to the frag system, then the quarantine system, and then the secondary quarantine system. All right. Alright, so here is the frag system with double stacked lowboys. We have LED on the top tank there, and then we have T5s on the bottom, which is just a 4-bulb fixture. It's the retrofit kit. It's basically what was left over on the original frag system. And that's just going to stay like that for now until I go ahead and put some radions on there, which I will be replacing all the lighting on this tank with XR15s or XR30s. I haven't decided yet, but that is the plan. So another plan is, as you guys can see, the bottom tank is empty. I'm going to be getting in a bunch of Ophelia, Duncans, all that kind of stuff will be in next week or so, and I'll go ahead and give you guys an update video of stocking, all that stuff on the website. and you guys can go ahead and purchase that. I haven't really stocked that stuff because it's just not my favorite coral, and I have to realize that when I sell coral, it's not all about what I like. Personally, it's what other people like and what they're willing to buy, and this is the stuff that I get requests for all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and get it in and see how it turns out. Moving over to the sump section, I definitely made some changes. Basically, I went ahead and I added filter socks. Let me get down here. I added filter sock holders from the original overflow. I just kind of adjusted the piping there, and see if I can move the camera, and just made it so it comes down over to 4-inch filter socks, which I like because it keeps the sump nice and clean. I don't have to worry about detritus, any of that stuff, and I can clean it out. Also helps the display take I guess a different look. It doesn't look as cloudy as it would if it didn't have filter socks, so I'm definitely liking having these on here. It's only been a couple days, but so far they're working out. I will do an in-depth video on these filter sock holders, how I got them together, set them up, and they're relatively cheap, so definitely want to show you guys that. The next project that I have here, and it's kind of one of these projects I want to do for a while, it's a do-it-yourself skimmer swabby. It worked out great. It's actually been on here for about a week or so, and I'm just breaking shit while I move. I went ahead and added this tube here with the skim mate and all that stuff, so it's definitely working. It's a little funky here with the camera, but it goes on an apex timer, which is every 3 hours. It will go ahead and stay on for about 30 seconds to a minute. I've been kind of playing with the time on that, and it will just scrape the inside of there. All the excess will drain down into the skimmer and just keep working. And I haven't, like I said, it's been about a week and it's working out great. I will do an in-depth video on that and show you guys kind of how the whole thing came together. There definitely are some adjustments that I would make regarding the swabby part, different parts that I have, but I actually put it together for a total cost of $8. And that was just stuff that I had laying around. And you know, you can't really ask for something that actually works for only $8 compared to when you buy it. It's like $150 or so for this size cup. And yeah, we will be putting one on the 300-gallon, but that's going to be a legit one that I actually do purchase, and I have to do that relatively soon because that skimmer gets dirty pretty quick, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, the frag system's doing good. It went through a lot of ups and downs when we had that mini crash when the water came through the ceiling and we had to rebuild the system. I lost a ton of coral, if you guys remember, just shy of 15 grand worth of coral. Wiped out a ton of stuff, but right now everything is kind of back to normal, and now it's time to rebuild. It's time to go ahead and get more coral in and kind of start over again like I did originally. It's just, it takes time, effort, and all that kind of stuff, and you guys know, anybody who's been in this business knows how frustrating that can be. So other than that, let's go and move over to the quarantine systems, and we'll finish up with that. Alright, so now we're looking at the 6 20-gallon long quarantine tanks I have here on the rack. I do have a video on how I put this together in the fish room playlist, I believe it is. And we will be changing the lighting out with some brighter ones just because they look so dull. But they have worked for several months. I just kind of want it to be a little bit brighter. So the top tank here on the right-hand side is my invert tank. This is where I keep all my basically, yeah, inverts. The blue-legged hermit crabs, the turbo snails, all that kind of stuff, peppermint shrimp, all that. Basically what I sell locally, that I'm actually going to start selling online here on the website. Basically, you'll be able to add any kind of inverts to your order, like your coral order. It'll be able to ship out the same box. It just depends on how many you have, and based on weight and all that kind of stuff. And I plan on implementing that once we get the new coral order in. I'll just go ahead and get that stuff up for you guys. Now here on the left-hand side, we have 2 yellow tangs. They came in a couple weeks ago. They were doing pretty good. They ended up getting ick and a bacterial infection about a week in. So they're in hypo right now. They'll be in hypo for about 4 weeks. I'll pull them out over a period of about a week. Then they'll do 2 more weeks in coopermine, and then 2 more weeks of observation and see how they're doing before they go into the 300-gallon. And speaking of the 300-gallon, I also have a Scopus tang, which you guys are not going to be able to see. He's going to be back there. But he's doing well. He's also in hypo. He will be going to the 300-gallon once he's through that whole process as well. Down here we have another yellow tang and an Anthias. Those are client tanks, or tanks, client fish for their tanks. And speaking of that, you guys will see JP's new build, which that yellow tang will be going into, and it's a 75-gallon tank with a 55-gallon sump. You guys will see that whole build, and it turned out really good, so I'm interested in showing you guys that soon. This tank here is empty for fish coming in next week, as well as the bottom left is also empty for fish next week, but they're cycled, ready to go. We're going to go ahead and go through my trashed up little room here and go to the next quarantine setup, which you guys will see here soon. I'm going to finish building it, but it's It's basically going to be a quarantine system for the 300 gallon, specifically just for the 300 gallon. I went ahead and took advantage of Petco's $1 per gallon sale. Also, their heater and the hang on the back were on sale, so I figured I'd go ahead and get that. But it is a 20 gallon high tank, and I have an AI Prime or Prime HD coming here in the mail, as well as a power head, which will complete the setup. Of course, we got to paint and all that kind of stuff. Now, what this is going to be is any coral that I want to add to the 300, any invert, anything other than the fish, because the fish are already in quarantine over there, is going to spend 30 to 60 days in this tank before it touches the 300 gallon, because I do import a lot of coral, I deal with that stuff, and regardless of how many times I dip, I just don't have a separate big system that can support the amount of coral that comes in specifically for quarantining. I would love to have the Jason Fox set up with the 2 extra systems where I can go ahead and quarantine and keep going, but unfortunately I don't have the room for that. So because I love my 300 gallons so much, and I need to make sure, even though stuff is clean, that it comes in already and is taken care of and dipped, I need to go the extra distance to make sure that whatever touches the 300 gallon is perfect in every single way. No chances of anything. I probably will put an Anthias in here. I'm not sure which one yet. And that will be the only stocking, maybe some live rock. Of course, I'll have inverts and stuff in there as well. So the tank is going to be set up probably within the next month or so, and you guys will see that video on that whole setup process and how I go about doing that. But other than that, guys, that's about it. My room is trash, sorry about that, with everything going on. And for those of you asking me why I have such a beautiful tank downstairs, it's because it weighs about 5,600 pounds, and even though I'm in a house that is only 2 years old, it's going to go through the floor. And plus, I really like it down here because I have access to all my water. Everything that I need is all right here. All the systems are together and get my work done. And I also spend probably 90% of my day down here working. So it's kind of, if you guys can get an idea of, well, yeah, it's totally trashed. I have so many projects going on right now. It's just a disaster. But I spend so much time down here that it's just, I just like having it here regardless. I would love to have it upstairs, but you know, it is what it is. Either way, guys, I hope you like this type of video. I'm thinking about doing a weekly video of this sort, kind of giving you guys an update on projects and stuff like that, uncut, and just kind of share that info with you. If you want that type of video, let me know in the comment section below. I have no problem making it. They're a lot easier to make than spending 8 hours doing voiceover. So other than that, guys, I will see you later, and yeah, peace out.